military establishment. Now, the military establishment has been saying that they are neutral in this whole situation and they do not side any political party.
In the uttermost depths of the Pacific Ocean, in an area between Mexico and Hawaii called the Clarion-Clipperton Zone, scientists have discovered a vast number of entirely unknown new species of weird and wonderful fish, crustaceans and sponges. But there's a snag. 17 deep mining companies from Britain, the US and China want to mine the valuable minerals on the seabed there. Presumably, the announcement of the discovery of so many exciting new species isn't altogether a coincidence. I sought the insights of Helen Briggs, the BBC's environment correspondent.
This particular area of the Pacific, 5,000 different species, the vast majority of which we've never seen before. They're unknown to science. And things like gummy squirrels, they're called. So they're these sea cucumbers drifting over the sea floor. They're bright orange, they're bright red. The ping pong sponge, which looks just like a ping pong ball. We've got corals, we've got little creatures that look like white lobsters, that look like water fleas. So the whole place teeming with life, but uncharted life. So all of this biodiversity that we've only just scratching the surface of what's down there in the deep seas, the most unexplored areas of the planet.
And deeply precious, of course.
Well, oceans are very fragile ecosystems, and they're the really big area now of conservation in terms of how we protect 30% of the oceans. That countries came together to agree to protect 30% of the oceans for nature. We've just had a deep sea treaty signed. So there's a lot of attention on biodiversity in the oceans. But scientists are saying these are really unexplored areas. To get down there and search for this life is very, very difficult. And we've got looming ahead of us the prospect of deep sea mining. So companies want to go and send machinery down to the ocean floor and literally harvest metal from the seabeds. So scientists are signing letters saying we should pause this. A number of countries are also calling for a moratorium. So this is going to be a big story coming up, how we protect our oceans, what activities we allow down there, because of course mining on land can cause pollution, it can cause deforestation, human rights issues, so it's sort of big battle ahead really looming for the oceans.
Actually, it's probably less damaging to take the minerals from the ocean bed than to take them from the forests of, I don't know, the Congo or somewhere, isn't it?
On the one hand, it could be easier to get hold of these metals, but we just don't know enough about the process. So opponents of deep sea mining say that you could get all of these plumes of sediment that go up, then interfere with marine life on a very large scale. So not just the tiny little creatures which are down there on the seabed, but the whales and the dolphins.
I can imagine that, the corporate interests are going to say, oh, come on, this is just too much of a coincidence. You've discovered all these things at the last moment. Let's get on with this. We need it. Will the scientists be listened to?
The scientists would say, until we actually know what's there and we study the ecosystem better, then we just cannot understand the risks. So there are the scientists, and then there's the UN process in terms of what can be allowed in international waters. So there's the political angle, and then there's the policymakers.
Do you have any idea about the time scale of all this? I mean, in 20 years, 10 years, 5 years?
Well, some people are saying that we could have deep sea mining in international waters as soon as next year. But there are a lot of things that need to happen before then. But we do know that there are vast mineral resources down there and metals that we may run out of on land.
One last question. Do you have a favourite one of all these amazing new animals that we've seen?
Well, the scientist I talked to got very excited about a particular sponge that actually weaves its own glass. So it's a little glass sponge on the bottom, and she said it's like a glass vase. And she was absolutely amazed by the fact that you can, down there in the dark, cold depths,
enormous.
Yes, that you can have these glass. So, you know, all sorts of amazing creatures, the likes of which you've never seen before. I mean, absolutely incredible.
Lovely, thank you.